everybody. Today we're going to be working on lesson 3.2 in our Go Math materials. So it looks like this. It is called the place value of decimals, okay? So 3.1 kind of got us writing decimals and talking about the different places in decimals. But today we're really going to jump into all that and be looking at some charts, okay? So you are going to need pages 157 through 157 through 162. You're also going to need a pencil, and I would definitely bring scratch paper with me today because you might want to create some charts of your own to do your work, okay? All right, so we are going to look at page 157 first. Let's see. All right, we're going to be at the top where it says unlock the problem. So it says the Brooklyn Battery Tunnel in New York City is 1.726 miles long. Okay, it is the longest underwater tunnel for vehicles in the United States. To understand this distance, you need to understand the place value of each digit in 1.726. Okay, so we're going to talk about what each of those digits mean and their place value. You can use a place value chart to understand decimals. Whole numbers are to the left of the decimal point. Decimals are to the right of the decimal point. The thousands place is to the right of the hundreds place, and we're going to talk about beyond that, okay? All right, so let's take a look at this chart that they have for us right here. I'm going to zoom in just a little bit. Okay, so they've created a chart for us, and I don't want us to look at that part. I want us to look at this part first. So they've created this chart, and they've put our decimal point here. Anything to the left of our decimal point is a whole number. So if there was a number in the tens place and there is a number in the ones place, those are whole numbers, okay? Anything to the right of the decimal point is a decimal. That's part of a whole number, okay? All right, so we're going to look at this. They've put our number from the problem down here in this chart for us. So they've put the 1.7 in the tenths place, 2 in the hundredths place, and 6 in the thousandths place. Okay, one thing I want to point out is this is not the tens place. Okay, this is the tenths, T-H-S on the end. Okay, the tens place is over here. Okay, this is not the hundreds place. This is the hundredths place. Okay, I know it's kind of a mouthful. This is not the thousands place. This is the thousandths place. Okay, so we're going to talk about each of these, okay? The other thing they've done is they've represented each of those digits with a multiplication problem that includes a fraction, okay? So the 1 in the ones place is the same as 1 times 1, okay? The 7 in the tenths place is the same as saying 7 times 1/10. Okay, 7 times 1/10 is the same as a 7 in the tenths place. Okay, the 2 in the hundredths place is the same as 2 multiplied by 1/100th. And the 6 in the thousandths place is the same as a 6 multiplied by 1/1000. Okay? And then they've written them down here again and added zeros as placeholders for all the other digits before and after. Okay? All right, so we're going to talk about the standard form of the number, the word form, and the expanded form. Then we're going to actually do it down below where it says try this, okay? So the standard form is just the number here, okay? One thing I want to point out is 1.726. It's fine to say the decimal point as point, okay? You can say 1.726, but the proper math way of saying it is to replace the decimal point with the word and. Okay, so if you were to say this, you would say 1 and 726 thousandths, because that last digit is in the thousandths place. You have to say thousandths at the end. Okay, and that's where this comes into play. Word form is exactly how you would say that out loud. 1 and, which is our decimal point, 726 thousandths. And then the expanded form, which once we practice, that's going to make more sense, okay? So go down here to this box that says try this. So it says here, use place value to read and write decimals. So they actually give us the standard form of a decimal, 2 and 35 hundredths. Now the reason why we say hundredths is because the 5 is in the hundredths position, and that is the last digit, okay? All right, so we're going to write the word form. So we have 2 and, which is our decimal point. We look at our number, 35. So let's start by writing that, 35. And then we look and see what place the 5 is in. We know it's in the hundredths place. If we look up here at our place value chart, 2.35 hundredths, 35 hundredths. Okay. Now the expanded form is a little bit tricky. We have to take each digit and we have to multiply it by something to write out our expanded form, okay? So we have 2 times 1, because 2 times 1 is just 2. Now we have to look at our digit that's in our tenths place. So we have 3. Well, we can't just write 3 times 1 because 3 times 1 is a whole number, which is 3. We have to write it as a part of a number, which is a fraction, okay? So we're going to start by writing 3 multiplied, and because the 3 is in the tenths position, we're going to multiply it by 1 over 10. Then we're going to put an addition sign because we have to add what we have left. So we have 5 times, and our 5 is in the hundredths position, so we're going to take 5 and multiply it by 1 over 100. Okay, 1 over 100. All right, one thing I'm going to really just do really quick over here off to the side in this blank space is I'm going to create a little chart, okay, and I'm actually going to put my numbers into this chart. So we'll just do it like this. That's my decimal point, okay? So let's put our number in here. So we have 2.35. Okay, we know this is the ones place. We know this is the first one after the decimal, which is the tenths place. The second one after the decimal is the hundredths, and then the thousandths. Okay, and this of course is just the tens. Not tenths, tens. Okay, so use a place value chart. Okay, use a place value chart. All right, we're going to look at the example on the top of page 158. Let me scooch out here. The example on the top of page 158, there's a spider web. All right, here we go. Let's look at this. Okay, so it says use a place value chart. They've actually given us one, so great. So let's look at this. A common garden spider spins a web with its silk that is about 0.003 millimeters thick. That's very tiny. A commonly used sewing thread is about 0.3 millimeters thick. How does the thickness of the spider silk and the thread compare? Okay, so we're actually going to be comparing two decimals here. All right, so first thing we want to do is we want to look at the silk, which they tell us is 0.003. So let's actually label this over here, silk. Okay, and then the next thing we're going to look at is the thread, like just regular thread, okay? If you know anybody that sews, they probably have a lot of thread. All right, now we're going to place this number in our place value chart down here. So we have 0 in the ones place. Then we have our decimal point, which they put there for us. We have a 0 in the tenths place. We have a 0 in the hundredths place. And then we have a 3 in the thousandths place. Okay, now let's look at the thread. Just regular old thread. We have a 0 in the ones place. and we have a 3 in the tens place. Okay, 0.3 right here. So the thickness can be compared by looking at this chart, okay? So I want to, first of all, look and see why this is smaller than this one, okay? The more numbers we get that stretch out beyond the decimal point to the right, the smaller we get, okay? The closer it is to the decimal point, the bigger it is, all right? Okay, let's look at this one. Actually, no, I don't want to look at this one because I don't think it's a good example. I want to go to page 159 at the very top where it says share and show, because I like this example much better because it uses more than just zeros and another digit, okay? All right, so let's look at this together. So it says complete the place value chart to find the value of each digit. So they've given us our place value chart here. They've actually given us our decimal too, our number. And we can rewrite it out here as 3.524. That's our decimal that we're working with. Okay, 3 decimal place 524, 3 decimal point 524. Okay, now we're going to look at it, and we're actually going to be writing in our chart the standard form and the expanded form, technically, I guess. Okay, so let's look at this. We have a 3 in the ones position. We know that 3 times 1 is 3. Okay, now we're looking at the tenths position. Not the tens, the tenths. Tenths, okay? So we're going to start by writing the digit, which is just 5. And we're multiplying that by 1/10. 1/10. 1 over 10. Okay? Then we're looking at the hundredths. We have a 2. And we're multiplying that by 1 over 100 because it's in the hundredths position. Now let's look at the thousandths. We have a 4 in the thousandths position, so we're going to start by writing 4 multiplied by 1 over 1,000 because it's in the thousands position. Okay? Now what we're going to do is we're going to look at the values down here. Now, the great part about this is this part's really easy, okay? We look at this and we say, okay, it's a 3 in the ones position, so the value is 3. In the tenths position, we put a 0 because we've used 0 as a placeholder. We put the decimal point and the digit. Here, we're going to put a 0 for the ones position, decimal point, a 0 for the tenths position, and a 2 for the hundredths position. So all you're doing is you're looking at the digits before and after and filling it in with 0. Okay? So we have 4, then we have a 0 before it to replace the 2, a 0 before that to replace the 5, the decimal point, and a 0 before that to replace the 3. Okay? Let's take a look at these ones down here. I want to look at numbers 2 through 6 really quick. We're not going to do all of them. We're going to do some of them. Okay? 2 through 4, so 2, 3, and 4. Let's look at number 3 first. So it says write the value of the underlined digit. So the underlined digit here is the 2. Now the great part about this is we see that digit, we can automatically write 2, but then we have to see what position it's in. So the 2 is in the tenths position. So it is 2 tenths. 2 tenths. Okay, let's look at 2 real quick. Now, I want to look at 4 actually. Okay, the underlined digit is the 4. So we start by writing 4. We look at the position it's in. It's in the thousandths position. So we have 4 thousandths. I'm running out of room here. 4 thousandths, not thousands. thousandths. TH on the end, okay? All right, let's look at number 6. The directions here say write the number in 2 other forms. So we have 7.632. We know we can write it in word form. And when we say our decimal point, we're not actually going to write the point. Like, we're not going to write the word point. We're going to replace that with and. So let's start. 7 and, that's the same as our decimal point. Then we just say the number, 632, 632, and we're not done, we have to see. So the 2 is in the thousandths position, so we have to tack on the word thousandths. 7 and 632 thousandths. Okay, now we're going to write this in expanded form. That's word form. We're going to write it in expanded form. Okay, so let's look at this. We have 7 in the ones position, so we're going to take 7 and multiply it by 1. Then we're going to add the 6 to it, so we have 6, and we're multiplying that by 1/10 because that's in the tenths position. Then we're looking at the next digit, which is a 3, so we're adding the 3, and we're multiplying that by 1/100th, because that's in the 100ths position. Then we're adding the 2, and we times that by 1/1000, because that's in the thousandths position. The thousandths position. Okay, let's look down here at some of these where it says on your own. First thing I want you to do is I want you to draw a place value chart on your paper. So you're going to create just a little rectangle, and then we're going to draw a place value chart. So we're going to actually go 1, 2, 3, 4, okay. Actually, add one more. Let's make it 5 because there is some times where we'll see tenths. And we're going to put our decimal point right here. Make it nice and big so you know that's your decimal point. Okay? Then we're going to label these. Okay? So this is the tens, T-E-N-S, ones, tenths, hundredths. I'm running out of room because I've squished it too much. And lastly, the thousandths. Okay? That is going to make your life so much easier. If you put these decimals or these numbers in your place value chart, it'll make your life much easier, I promise. We're going to practice this. I want to start with number 8. So we have 2 decimal point 726. Put those in. 726. It is asking us to write the value of the underlined digit. So the underlined digit is the 7. So we go up to our place value chart, we see the 7. That would be 7 tenths. 7 tenths. Whoops. 7 tenths. Okay? The 7 is in the tenths position. 7 tenths. Go ahead and erase those numbers inside your place value chart because we're going to add different numbers this time. We're going to practice one more time, or maybe 2 more times. Let's practice with, let's do number 10. So we have 6 decimal point 399. Okay? Now we look at the digit that's underlined. That's the 3. We look up here. The 3 is in the tenths position. So it is, let me turn all the lights back on. It is 3 tenths. Okay? 3 tenths. Okay? Let's erase our numbers in our place value chart. like so. Okay. Let's try number 9. Number 9. We have 1 decimal point, 0, 6, 6. Okay, we're looking at the last 6. That one is in the thousandths position, so it is 6 thousandths. Okay, that will definitely save your life. If you create this place value chart to do your homework, it's going to save you so much time. All right, I want to look at your practice and homework, which is on page 161. You're going to circle the problems on page 161 and 162. Start by writing your name at the top. Okay. I want you to do number 2, 3, 5, and 6. Then you're going to do number 8 and 9. And then I want you to go to page 162, and you are going to do number 1. Let's see. 3 and 4. Okay, so on page 161, you are doing 2, 3, 5, 6, 8, and 9. Then you are doing numbers 1, 3, and 4 on page 162. So that is 6, 7, 8, 9 problems. Okay, 9 problems. Have a great day, and I will see you in the next video.